Hello lovely, it's Cass and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am beyond excited for this video because we are going to be creating a custom order of one of my favorite designs, the balloon sleeve sweater. But wait, didn't I click on how Cass created the NESTA shrug design? Yes, you did. But this is how it began. It began with a custom order going oh so very wrong. So enjoy the next series of unfortunate events. This sweater is for my friend Serena. We actually went to Granville Island a few months ago and we picked out the yarn that she wanted for her sweater. It is this yarn here. She knew that she wanted it to be blue, but on the darker side. So when we saw this kit that has blue yarn that goes into an ombre into black, we just knew we had to get it. But looking at it, I'm a little bit concerned if I'm gonna have enough yarn to create the balloon sleeve sweater out of this. The kit is for a shawl, and I do believe my balloon sleeve sweater is a lot bigger than a shawl. I don't wanna get worried too quickly. I think I'm gonna wind up the yarn, and then from there I'll see if I have enough. I finished winding up all 5 skeins of yarn. These skeins are baby skeins. They are extremely tiny. So to create the balloon sleeve sweater, I need around 750 to 900 meters of yarn. And this pattern here has 435 meters. Oh no, what am I going to do? Yeah, I don't have enough yarn. I highly doubt I'm gonna be able to go back to this store and find another kit like this. I actually think I bought the last kit in this color scheme. This might be a little risky, but I think I'm going to crochet the front panel of the sweater. If I don't have enough to create the back panel, then I'll just make it a bolero. That's the plan. We're gonna give that a shot and see how it goes. So I'm not gonna crochet the balloon sleeve sweater. That was a very short-lived idea. I am not going to play a game of yarn chicken. I am guaranteed to lose. I was sketching out some ideas and I thought it would be really cool to do a variation of the balloon sleeve sweater, but turn it into a shrug instead. So from the back, you can see it's a shrug, but from the front, it just kind of looks like balloon sleeve arm warmers. Fingers crossed, it's gonna turn out cute. I haven't done a mock-up for this design. Built up the foundation chain row 1 and row 2. It's literally just looking like a worm, but the yarn feels so soft. I absolutely love it. I didn't expect this video to turn into me creating a whole new pattern and filming a tutorial, but this is truly the reality of how I come up with all of my designs. None of my designs were created on purpose. I'd love to do a video one day explaining how I came up with all of my designs because I think the stories for each of them are pretty funny. Would I have created this shrug if it were not for me not having enough yarn to create the balloon sleeve sweater? Probably not. So yeah, I guess the moral of this story is things don't usually go as planned, and that can be a grand old blessing at times. Yesterday, I ended up using one entire skein. So now I'm going to start the next one, and this shade of blue is just a tiny bit darker. I only recently learned how to start crocheting with another skein of yarn halfway through your projects. I used to do something called the magic knot, which I think still works really well, but when you're working with a really fine yarn, what I've noticed is that when you pull the yarn to create the knot, it can break. And that's happened to me many times. So I'm gonna show you guys how I start using my new skein. So as you can see, I'm at the last bit of yarn with my first skein, and here's my second skein. I'm going to start creating my single crochet, but at the last point where I need to do the last pull through, I'm going to grab my new skein instead, and I'm going to pull the new skein through instead of the first skein. Here are my 2 loops for the single crochet. Here's the strand of yarn from the new skein. I'm going to pull it through, and now I'm simply just going to continue working my single crochets with the new skein of yarn, and I'm gonna hold my yarn to just weave it in as I'm crocheting. So I ended up playing a spontaneous game of yarn chicken and I won. I have just enough yarn to sew the edges together to create the armholes for the shrug. So that's what we're gonna be doing next. Also, I think I came up with a name for this design. This color reminds me so much of NESTA Archeron from the ACOTAR series. She's cold and she's mean, and I feel like this color blue is giving these emotions. I can also envision a ballerina or some form of dancer wearing this, which reminded me even more of NESTA, because in A Court of Silver Flames, we discovered that NESTA is an incredible dancer. I just thought that naming this design the NESTA shrug would be more than appropriate. Now, how am I gonna turn this into a shrug? Well, all I'm gonna do is fold it horizontally, and then I'm going to pin the edge together so that I'm able to put my arm through it, but I'm going to leave a gap in the middle, and that's where my torso is going to go. I feel like it'll make more sense once I pin it up and put it on for you guys. This feels so soft. I cannot wait for this to be done. It took me 2.5 weeks to crochet all of this, but to be fair, it was a very busy 2.5 weeks. Finished it. What do you think? I think this has to be one of my favorite designs I've ever created. I already know I'm gonna be wearing this to dance classes while I'm coaching. I also know that I'm just gonna be wearing this on a regular basis. I feel like it's so practical and it can be combined and matched with so many different types of outfits. Let me fully break down what ended up happening with this project. I was gonna make the balloon sleeve sweater for my friend Serena. I saw this knitting kit with this ombre assortment of yarns, and I thought it would be enough to create this very large sweater. Let me remind you guys that I'm learning with you. A lot of these designs that come to be are just a compilation of accidents. I manipulate the pattern or change the stitches, and I just experiment a ton and end up creating something completely different. After I winded up all the skeins, I realized that I didn't have enough yarn, so my goal was just to create as much of the balloon sleeve sweater as I could and just make a decision once I was at my last skein, which is probably a bad idea, but something in me told me to just trust the process. When I lied the project down on the table flat, I realized that I had only created the front of the balloon sleeve sweater. But when I looked at the wrist cuff and I stretched it, I realized that it would make its way around my whole wrist. If I were to sew from the edge of the wrist cuff to about where my armpit starts, I could have a shrug. Once I sewed up the edges and put it on, I realized that I had created my all-time favorite athleisure crochet design up to date. This design ended up reminding me so much of NESTA from the ACOTAR book series, particularly the last book of the series, well, the last book up to date, because the new one is coming out. So I ended up naming this design the NESTA Shrug. If you want to make this design for yourself or someone you love, I linked the video tutorial down below in the the description. And this design comes with a free written pattern. You can also find that by clicking the link in the description down below. And if you do end up downloading the written pattern and making the shrug, please tag me in your photos and videos on Instagram. I would love to see how your NESTA shrug turns out. It's bittersweet. I don't want this video to end because I had so much fun filming it for you guys, but there will be so many designs that will be coming in the future. And if you enjoy seeing the behind the scenes process of how I come up with them, how I create them, let me know down below in the comment section. I'm not sure if this vlog style video is something you guys enjoy or if you just prefer the tutorials. Your feedback is so important to me. Thank you for spending your time with me today, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye!